What marks the second half?
First half of his career was the destruction of the great king, the king of Persia, the king of kings. Uh, and after the destruction of the Persian monarchy,
Mm-hmm.
what next? A lot of Alexander's soldiers naturally assumed that what next?
Was
Go home.
we're going home.
Lots of loot. Vast amounts of loot, truly incredible amounts of loot. The Persian kings had accumulated enormous treasure in 3 or 4 different cities. Alexander had other ideas. He meant to move from the heartland of the Persian Empire to its eastern domains that were always kind of loosely governed.
Okay.
He meant to establish his authority there and to go even further. He meant to go to the end of the world as he understood it from his tutor Aristotle, who had no idea how big Asia actually was. Alexander had this ambition of going all the way to the ocean. So first secure the eastern regions, the Persian Empire that had always been loosely ruled. Eastern regions. Now that brings us into Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, brings us into Kashmir and Punjab. The Persian Empire was almost unimaginably large. These eastern regions are loosely governed. Alexander,
Were they governed at least that they were still able to collect revenue?
Persian practice was to appoint regional, for most of the empire, in most of the empire, Persian practice was to appoint regional governors, satraps. They raised revenue and sent some of it as demanded to the great king.
Mm-hmm.
They maintained a basic road system for the great king and stations for couriers in the service of the great king, relay riders, you might say. And they were to raise troops as directed. They could raise troops on their own because, of course, it's a long distance from the frontiers to the Persian king and one of his capitals. But all the capitals in the heartland of the Persian Empire, what we would call today southern Iraq and eastern Iran, pretty much. The heartland, or southern Iraq and western Iran, pretty much the heartland of the Persian Empire. So the regional satraps had to be able to raise some troops on their own, but also, as directed by the great king, and send them to him. But in the eastern region, he was called King of Kings because the eastern region is so far remote.